Hey everyone, this is Megan Hillier from Know Your Ancestors, and you're listening to the Know Your Ancestors podcast. Many of us have an innate desire to understand our roots, to know where we come from, and to understand the lives of our ancestors. On the show, I sit down with content creators and entrepreneurs to share some of the stories that I've uncovered and compiled about their own ancestors. Watch and listen as we discuss the traumatic and life-changing events of their close ancestors that helped shape who these guests are today. Hello and welcome to the podcast today. Today we're going to do a little behind the scenes of the research that I did for the last episode with Zach Mander. Now, he is from Australia, and I researched his ancestor that came to Australia in about 1911. Australian research, there is not a ton of records that you can look at least in my experience. This is my first time researching Australian ancestry. There are like city directories that I used, and then there are vital records that you can order, but they were like $24 a piece. So it is not cheap to order records at least that I came across from Australia. So I'm going to show you how I researched his great-grandfather, Lance Mander, who lived in London. He was born in London, and I looked for his birth record, and I ordered a marriage record for his mother. So I'm going to show you how you can access those records, vital records in the UK. So this is for England and Wales. You have to order them from the General Register's office. Now you might be able to find church records, so you don't always have to order these to find birth, marriage, or death information for your ancestors, but they are pretty reliable resource. You don't have to, locate what church your ancestor belonged to. If your ancestor lived after 1837, when these records began, you should be able to find their birth, marriage, or death information. So I'm going to show you how I do it, how I look for these records. There's a few different index sites that you can use, but I'm going to show you the one that I like to use and then how you can order those from the General Register's office. So again, this is for ancestors that lived in England or Wales after 1837. So like I said, there are lots of different sites that have an index for these vital records for England and Wales. Ancestry has an index. I believe Family Search might have the index. I actually don't know for sure. Or you can access the index directly on the General Register's office website. This is the site that I learned how to search on, and I like it. So this is the one that I use. So if you just go to freebmd.org.uk, this should show up. You can click on search, and then it brings you to this page. Okay, so when you get to this page, you're going to be looking for information about your ancestors. So you'll want to know before you start looking for these records, the general idea of when and where they were born, married, or died. Okay, whatever record you're looking for. So I'm going to show you how to look for these, how to know what district they might have been a part of, and the counties, because these will all help you to really narrow it down. So I've done a lot of research for my ancestors that lived in Wales, and it's really helpful to have the district that they belong to, especially for those Welsh ancestors, because they all had similar names. So I have so many William Joneses, so it's really helpful to be able to narrow down the district here. But I'm going to show you how I looked for Zach's ancestors that I looked for and show you how you can order those records. Okay, so first I'll show you how to look for a death record. Okay, so Lance's mother, Sarah Louisa Rushton, she was Mander when she passed away, died on September 2nd, 1914. Okay, so maybe I didn't know exactly the day that she died, right? That's why I'm looking for her death record. Maybe I know that she died sometime around 1914 and she was living in London or near London. Okay, so this website is really helpful to find what registration district your ancestor lived in. So all of England and Wales was divided into these districts. This was usually smaller than a county. Well, not usually, I think always it was smaller than a county. So that's really helpful to be able to narrow down where they were living. So say you found them on a census record and you know what town they were living in or what parish they were living in, then you can locate what registration district that would have been. Okay, so here's a list of all of the registration districts in England and Wales, but maybe you don't know what district it is. Okay, so if you go to this site, so it's ukbmd.org.uk/reg for registration. Okay, if you go to this, then there's an alphabetical list of districts and an index of place names. So this index of place names, I think it opens up to a PDF. So you have to download it. Hopefully you can see that here. Okay, so then this is like 1,700 pages long, so you're not going to want to look through each one, right? So this is narrowed down by, so you have the civil parish here, the county, and then what registration district that was in, and then the start of when that registration district was in place and when it ended. Okay, so sometimes the registration district changed. So say we have this ancestor, Sarah Louisa Rushton. We know she died sometime after 1901 because we have her in that census. So let's look at this census and see where she was living. So she was living in Tottenham as a civil parish, and Middlesex was a county, and her birthplace was London, but Tottenham was the the civil parish. Okay. You can see actually on this census, it does say the registration district was Edmonton. So that provides it as well, but maybe that's not very clear there, or maybe it's not right. So let's just look. So I'm just going to do Control F and type in Tottenham, and nothing shows up. Okay, so because on that census it lists Edmonton, so I typed in Edmonton, and here we have one in Middlesex, and Edmonton is the registration district. So you'll just kind of have to play around with that. Some of them are more clear than others. For instance, I have an ancestor that lived in Aberdaron in Wales. So I have that civil parish was Aberdaron, and Carnarvonshire was the county. And so the Pwllheli district is the registration district that they would have belonged to. So you might have to play around with that and try a few different possible locations, but that can help you locate what registration district they would have been a part of. Okay, so now that we know that she's probably from the Edmonton district, we can scroll down on these districts here and select that one. Now you can also select more than one. Okay, how come it's not showing up here? There we go. Edmonton. Okay, so her surname would have been Mander. We are again looking for death. Her first name, now I'm not totally sure. Sometimes she went by Sarah, sometimes she went by Louisa, but let's just put Sarah in there. She seemed to have gone by Sarah later in life. Okay, now maybe we know that she died after 1911, but before 1915. So we can put this range in here. Now, something to be aware of is that these are registered by quarter. So these are events that were registered, not necessarily when they happened. So from January to March is one registration period. From April to June is the next one. Then from July to September, and then October to December. So these are when these events were registered by quarter. Okay, so I'm going to go from this first registration period from January to March. You list it as the last month that it's in. So from the beginning of the year in 1911 till the last one in 1915. Okay, so I'm going to put that information there. We're going to hit find and see if we get lucky. I actually can't even remember. Okay, here we go. We're lucky. All right, so here's this death. The only one in those 4 years is this one, and Sarah L. Mander, who's 59 years old in the Edmonton district. So then you can look at, okay, does their age match with what I know? Okay, she was, let's just take a look. She was born about 1855. So 59 years old, that's a little bit off, but not much. And let's just see what would 1914 minus. I like to use my calculator because sometimes my brain doesn't work. 1855. 59. That's exactly 59. Okay, that was not off at all. All right. So here we have, this is just an index. There's no image you can look at. It's only this information, like this big book that has all of these indexed information. Okay, so we have Mander, Sarah L, registered in the September quarter in 1914. She was 59 in the Edmonton district. We have volume 3A, page 552. Okay, so then I'm going to go to the General Register's Office page. So the URL is gro.gov.uk/GRO. You might have to just Google GRO UK for that to show up. I feel like I've tried typing in just the URL and it doesn't quite work. So you might just need to do a Google search. And then you will need to log in. So when you're on the main menu, you'll have to create an account, put in, username, password, all of that, and then it should take you to this page. Now, something new within the last year or so, you can now order a digital image, which I just discovered a few months ago, and it is game changer. Okay, you used to have to order just a certificate or a PDF. You'd have to wait a few days and they'd have to email you this PDF. Now you can order a digital image and see it instantly. Okay, so this is only for, it says digital. I'm not sure if you can, there, let me zoom in. Digital images are only available for births from 1837 to 1923 and deaths from 1837 to 1957. Okay, so marriages, you still can't even get a PDF emailed to you for marriages. Those have to be mailed to you, which is kind of annoying, but I don't know why. So because this is a death record before 1957, we can order a digital image. Okay, so then you just go through this process. Let's try zooming in a bit so this you can see a little better. Okay, so now you just go through what they say to do. We got a death, the year, it was 1914. So you put that all in, and then you just go through this whole thing. Okay, you got to make sure that you type it in correctly. Mander, and she was Sarah L, or I guess I can put L for, okay, female. The district was Edmonton. The quarter was this one, July, August, and September. The volume, I think it was 3A, if I remember. Yeah, 3A is the volume, and then 552 is the page. So then you search, and it's going to search for that. And it says no matching results found. Okay, I don't know why. Let's take out the L and see if that works. Maybe I put something in wrong. There we go. Okay, that's because it had Louisa as her name. So Sarah Louisa Mander. We hit that, and then we're going to click digital image. Okay, so then it will take you this whole thing to, make sure that you have this one selected up here, the digital image, because it's only £3 instead of $12.50 or $8 for the PDF. Okay, so let's try to go cheapest, unless you really want to spend more. Okay, then you submit, and then it's going to take you to confirm, submit, and then you'll have to submit again, and then you have to actually purchase it. Okay, so you'll go through submit, you'll put in your information to pay for that, and then you will just click, it will come up with a page, and you can click to view the image. Okay, it looks kind of like, let me see if I can go back. Looks kind of like this after, and then where it says view image online right here, but you can't click on it. Once you've paid for it, you'll be able to click on that view image online to be able to view that image. Okay, so I found the one that I had ordered, Sarah Louisa Mander, so then we can click and view that image. Okay, so here it is. Then on the bottom, you can zoom in to, view a little more. Gives when and where they died, their name, age, their rank or profession, cause of death, and then the informant. So like who provided that information, and then when it was registered and by who. Okay, so that's how you can order those records. Again, if you're looking for a marriage, you'll have to do it this way through order certificate or PDF, and then marriages will, okay, the marriages are mailed to you. Okay, now for his great-grandfather, I wasn't able to find a birth for Lance Harold. So I'm just going to show you how I looked for that. So for birth, surname, I looked for Mander. And I don't think I even put his first name. Okay, but let's do 1879 to 1882. And then I wasn't sure what district he was born in. I just knew that he said he was born in London. And so I, under counties, I think I selected Middlesex and London. So if you type hold control, then you can click on 2 counties at a time. So let's just see if that's what I did. Okay, so then you can see that there's quite a few that showed up, but not a ton. With a surname like Mander, it's not super common. So then I just looked through and was like, okay, none of these look like there's no Lance, no Harold. None of them look right. I even broadened the date to make it wider, and there still wasn't anything. So then I thought, well, maybe his mom wasn't married when he was born. So then I put Rushton in with the same county selected, hit find, and let's see if that one shows up here. And then I found this one, okay? Harold Lance Rushton in Lambeth. And if you watched the episode from last week, you know that Lambeth he listed as a birth location on some of the censuses. Okay, so I was like, okay, that makes sense. And then sure enough, I ordered that one and it had Sarah Louisa or Louisa Rushton as his mother. Okay, so you might have to play around with it. Another thing to be aware of when you search on here is that the spelling has to be exact. If you're not sure, like maybe the last name is something that could be spelled multiple ways, maybe I don't know, Rush, we think Rush Star, we could do that. If we're not sure how it ends, then that would show all of the surnames with a Rush start. So you have Rush and Rushbrook and Rushin and Rushforth, Rushman. Okay, so that can maybe help you to locate your ancestor. Okay, and then on births after 1911, you'll be able to put the mother's surname here. That can help you narrow down your results as well. Okay, if you're doing a marriage, you can also, let me just show you how I found that one for this couple. So if you watch the episode, you know that they were together by the 1891 census, living in the same household, listed as husband and wife, but I wasn't able to find a marriage record for them. So I was looking and looking and looking, trying to find one for this Charles Mander and Sarah Louisa Rushton. I wasn't able to find anything. So here's one way that you can look for them, Mander, and then I put Rushton as the other surname. And let's just cast a very wide net here because I think it was 1906 that I was able to find one for. So I still have those 2 counties in London selected, just because in London there was quite a few different ones. So you can see that there's just this one that shows up for Charles James Mander, 1906. Now it is selecting ones that have a marriage with the surname of Rushton. So someone else that has Rushton that has the same volume and page and district listed. Okay. Now, if I revise this and I don't put Rushton there, then that's just going to show me all of the Manders that fit that. Okay. So there's quite a few, right? And if I want to, compare against, if I, look for a Sarah Louisa Rushton, so let's change this around. So if I have the primary one as Rushton and then Mander as the spouse, let's see if that works. Yeah. So now we have Sarah Louisa Rushton. We have the same registration as that other one. Okay. So it just selects it against each other to find the right one. Okay. Does that make sense? All right. So that's really helpful for marriages to be able to narrow it down to find the right possible marriage record. All right, so that was kind of a quick overview of how to locate birth, marriage, or death records for England and Wales. Hopefully that was helpful. Might have to watch it over a few times or just give it a try with your own ancestors to see if you can locate those records. I'll put the links to both the page that you can locate registration districts and the page that I use for the index, and then the General Register's Office website where you can actually order those records. So it is addicting. I have ancestors that I've been trying to locate their records for, and because they have such common names, there's so many possibilities. But now that you can order those digital images that are only £3 versus the £8 that they used to be, it's a lot more affordable, but still you gotta keep tabs on those expenses there. So hopefully that helps you out to be able to find those records if you have ancestors that lived in England or Wales after 1837. Thanks so much for watching today, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm taking a break from the podcast for December, so we'll be back in January with some new episodes. Thanks again. We'll see you later. Thanks so much for watching or listening to the podcast today. If you want to start learning about your own ancestors, you can get my free mini class called 3 Steps to Start Knowing Your Ancestors. It comes with a workbook. It's super short, but has actionable steps that you can take to start knowing your own ancestors. Just go to knowyourancestors.co/3steps or click the link in the show notes to sign up. Thanks again for being here, and we'll see you next time.